hello. I am here live tonight on Instagram. I'm really excited. I'm actually cozied up on my couch with a blanket. It's freezing here. But I'm really excited tonight to talk to Mina from Waylos, Getting More Done. She's on right now, so I'm going to ask her to come on. So just bear with us as we go through this. And she should be up any moment. Really excited to talk to her today. Hello, I hear you. There you
Hi,
are. Hi, Mina. How are you?
I'm doing great. Finally,
I know. How are you
finally doing
feeling? I spoke to you right before, and I'm speaking to you after.
Mm-hmm.
Must have been a
Yep.
long road, a long week and a half, 2 weeks, I guess, right?
Yeah. Yep. So I didn't work for 3 weeks
Wow.
because my kids had it, one had it, and then a week later the other had it, and then the very last day I had it.
Ugh, I know. It's like, and so then it makes it three. Yeah, it's like you wish we not that everybody gets it all at once, but it would make it easier, right? Than this.
Yes. Yeah.
And then, did anybody else? Is there anybody else in the family or get it or no? Anybody else?
My husband actually got it last in November,
Oh, okay.
so he ended up not getting it, which is
Again, which is
fantastic.
awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, good. So, well, now you've all had it. So, um,
Yes.
for a little while, you can feel like, okay, at least we're done with that. We're just a little while
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yep.
So I know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so excited that you're here tonight. And I always say to our viewers, like, if you're watching now, great. If you're watching later, they can always obviously follow both of us and reach out. But Mina has been on like this gorgeous journey of like self-discovery and now really wanting to share what she has learned being a really busy mom, overwhelmed, and all of that other stuff that, many of us live with. So I don't know, tell us a little bit about yourself, Mina.
Yeah, that was such a great way to put it. Being on a journey, it really is a journey and it doesn't stop for sure. But when it starts, people like to say that, nobody prepares you for what being a mom is like. And it's really true. They like to say the really, really great things. They like to say the really, really, bad things, but they don't it's rare that you get some practical advice, and when I became a parent, I really just I was winging it. I felt like,
Yeah.
and I felt like, you know what, this is gonna pass. It's gonna get easier. I'm gonna learn something, and along the way, I'm not the only one who's changing, but the kids are changing
Yes.
and the spouse is changing, and
Yes.
it just the days turned into weeks and months and years, and it's been over a decade
Mhm.
now, and I feel like I finally have my footing. I feel
Yeah.
like I'm finally rooted in a good system that just takes everyone in the family along on a nice ride,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. So it's funny that you said that when you were speaking, you just sparked a memory that I had. I have three children, and my oldest is much older. So I'm like a little bit different phase than you are at this point, but my oldest is 23. And when about, I don't know, 6 months after he was born, I went out with some college friends. And my girlfriends were like so intrigued. They were like, "Oh, how is it being a mom?" They were all excited. And I kind of looked at one of them and I was like, "It's a conspiracy." I go,
Yeah.
"They have a baby shower for you and everybody's sitting there like smiling and like giving you gifts and like really excited for you. And really, I
Mhm.
think they're all thinking like, haha, she has no idea her life is over."
Oh,
but, but I said, actually, it's not like that. I mean, it's much better than that, but it's like there is that feeling like, wow, this is a little bit overwhelming,
yeah,
initially. Like you do get your groove on, but I do love what you're saying, how you're just not prepared. There's no guidebook, right?
yeah,
And so I
yeah,
love that, your story is about kind of finding your footing, right?
yeah, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. And when I tell you I tried everything that I could find on the internet. I tried, asking friends, and it's got asking friends about being a parent is kind of like asking friends like about their marriage.
Yeah.
It's gonna be different.
Yeah. Yeah.
There isn't any easy way to get advice from people because everybody's journey is so different.
Yeah.
Everybody's house is different, and their upbringing, their environment, their culture, what they learned from their parents,
Yeah.
what maybe some trauma or some baggage, backstory, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it,
Yeah.
that's holding them back from being the way that the mom that they always dreamed
Yeah.
of, or
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
you want to call it.
Yeah.
And so, what was your question? I'm sorry.
Well, it's all right. It's all right. I was just gonna. I was actually gonna just ask, like, do you want to share some of the things that you have tried, like some of, like,
Oh
just
my
like a
God.
little bit of your backstory with it, like just so that people, I think people really will connect, you know, especially newer moms and stuff with that story, because I feel like sometimes you feel isolated, you feel really
Oh yeah.
alone in this journey, and you don't realize
Mhm.
that there are many other moms or women struggling as well. So
Yeah, and
yeah.
sometimes you want to be alone. I didn't feel isolated at the time, but looking back, I was incredibly isolated, and I was pushing people away. I would just wanted to do everything myself because I wanted so badly to learn the right way,
Yeah.
and and I ended up isolating myself, not realizing it until now.
Yeah.
But yeah, the things that I tried are all of the things that you could possibly find online. Every single planner I tried, and um, every uh, cleaning routine that I could
Yes.
find,
Yes. You were saying.
every meal prep, cooking the 5, 6 chicken breasts on Sunday, and all the
Yeah.
vegetables, and all of this, and there were things about each process, each system that were great, and there were things but the majority of it, I just felt so even more overwhelmed
Yeah.
because I kept like adding the planner, and I was adding the
Yeah.
cleaning, a lot more cleaning than I was doing, and because I thought that my house needed to be this
Spotless.
certain way, right?
Yeah.
And the food, I was buying so much food, and it was getting wasted because cooking 6 chicken breasts in my family is not going to work.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to eat it. My husband is very, what do you call it? Not like fly by the seat of your pants, but like he's very
Spont-
not impulsive. What's a
Spontaneous.
nice
A
way of
little more
spontaneous?
spontaneous.
Yes, nice way of saying impulsive. But he loves surprising the kids with their favorite takeout, or he loves, bringing them to lunch in a place. He has some places that he likes to frequent with his friends, and he loves to bring them to
Right.
lunch like that. And if I plan and I cook, then the food's just going to go in the garbage because literally there's nobody there to eat it.
Yeah.
So, like, those are some of the things that I tried and I failed at.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because I kept adding on to what I already was doing, what I already was dealing with. And doing that really, it messed me up. Like, that was so overwhelming. Like, we use the word overwhelming a lot as parents, and that was so overwhelming to me. And when I finally got to like sit down, because you could say, like,
Yeah.
breakthrough
Yeah.
I
What was
had, like a
that
mental break.
moment? Right. That moment
Yeah.
that you were like, okay, this is not working.
Yeah, when breakdown and breakthrough sort of like touch, and you want so badly for something to work, and
Yeah.
nothing is working. And I had to sit and just think to myself, what is going on here? Why is this stuff not working? What
Yeah.
is it about me? And I went through all of
Yeah.
that inner work, that, I'm not a good mom. I can't, it's too hard. It's so it's too hard with such a big one. I don't have time.
Yeah.
I'll never have enough time. All those things. And I had to keep asking. I didn't want to stop there and
Yeah.
just be like, oh, well, throw my hands in the air and say, I'm just going to be a bad mom, or this is just too hard. It's just too hard.
Yeah.
And I didn't do that. I kept asking why. Why don't I have enough time? Why is this so hard? What is it about this that's hurting me, that's making it so hard for me to be the mom that I want to be? What do I want my day to look like
Yeah.
as a parent, as a wife, as a business owner, as an employee? And what do I want that day to look like? What do I want to achieve in each day? And going down that like nasty rabbit hole of bad thoughts about yourself
Yeah.
can really bring you up. It can really help you face the actual questions that you need to be asking yourself when you are up against a wall.
Yeah.
And I did that, and it was so helpful for me to um, be able to see what do I want? What
Yeah.
do I want out of all of this?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a day. This is my day. Tomorrow there's going to be another one. The next day there's going to be another one. Here are my kids. They are still going to be here tomorrow and the next day. The laundry is
Yeah.
still going to be here. Cleaning's still going to be here. The food's still going to be here. My cell phone's still going to be here. Trying to get me to do
Yeah.
whatever it wants
Well,
you know?
yeah, I just love that you kept asking the why, like why, and not only why, but it's like kind of like, all right, how do I want this to feel? How do I want to be? How do I want to experience my kids? How do I want to experience my husband? How do I want to experience my friends, my family,
My home.
my work, my home? And I'm as guilty. When my kids were younger, I felt overwhelmed, but I also felt like this burden. Like that was like a big burden, a big responsibility, and
Yeah.
and I remember that moment for myself when I was like, I don't want to feel this way. I don't like this anymore. Like this is not what it's
Yeah.
supposed to be.
It
So
piles on.
yeah, but I love the fact that you kept asking why, because I don't know if I actually ever did that. I love that you kept asking why. So as you asked why, what were some of the things that came to you, like that were kind of those little epiphany moments, or those moments of like clarity, like, oh, I could do this. Oh, I could do that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I have a vacuum in my peripheral vision here, and I'll take cleaning for example. I tried lots and lots of different cleaning schedules, and a few of I mean, not a few, like all of them seem to have this rigid schedule. Like Mondays are for the toilets, and Tuesdays is the kitchen, and Wednesdays is the dining room or whatever. Or it's Monday is dusting, Tuesday is wiping,
Yeah.
Wednesday is vacuum, Thursday is the floors, and
Yeah. Yeah.
all this stuff, and like Friday is like decluttering, whatever, tidying up. And the reason why that didn't work for me personally is because even if it's me who's telling me what to do, I don't like being told what to do. I just don't like it, and it's one of those things where I feel like I can't, like, if somebody, I take it as a demand on myself,
Yeah.
and it ends up being, I just don't do it. I just don't do it because I don't want me to tell me what
To
to do.
do.
So, it doesn't work
Yeah,
for
and you
me.
know
It
what,
doesn't work for me.
I'll know, I want to hear the rest of that, but I'm like laughing because I'm thinking in my head too, like, so if you miss Monday and you haven't dusted, that means on
Right.
Tuesday you have to vacuum and dust. Do you know what I mean? And then
Yep.
so it's like you get backed up if you missed one day.
That's
It's like,
right.
so
Yep.
that's just overwhelming in itself, right? It
Yeah,
becomes,
that's exactly right. Yeah, that's another thing that I
yeah,
couldn't deal with, the failure
yeah,
from the day before.
yeah,
So what I came up with after, asking myself, what is it about the house that's bothering me, right? And I happen to really want my home to be clean. Neat and clean, I learned when I was doing this mind work, are two completely different things. Clean is, you want to make sure there's no germs, there's no molds, there's no dust in the air for, if you have kids or whatever, you have allergies or something like that. And neat is everything put in its place. And I had to grab from the clean bucket and the neat bucket which parts of that like really matter to me. And it turns out not that much, but the way that I put my cleaning schedule together, instead of bombarding myself with everything, I decided that I would clean one room every day, and that's it. And eventually, it comes around, and eventually all the rooms are going to be clean.
Right.
And my exception to that is just the bathrooms. The toilet needs to be clean once a week. That's, I don't
Yeah.
want anybody to get sick. So that's what I did. I started cleaning one room a day. And then when I started getting a feel for like a rhythm, I started incorporating my kids in it, because it happens to be really easy. They love, even smaller kids, and you can find a natural like spray, or I heard there's a cloth like Norwex
Yeah,
or
yeah, I have a lot of the Norwex prod. Yes, and they're
Norwex.
all water. Yeah, yep. There's aren't any chemicals involved at all. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So you can add, if you have smaller kids,
yeah.
they love doing that stuff. They love seeing the dust go, and they love spraying. And it's something that I was able to get my kids to start doing, that where each of us would have a job. One person would dust, one person would wipe, and one person would vacuum or mop the floor or sweep the floor or
Wow.
whatever. And it actually takes each room 7 minutes, something like that, 7 minutes or less. And
Wow.
because everybody's doing their job, we're all like right behind each other going around the perimeter of the room, and then it's done, and we go, and then that's it for the room for the day.
I love that. I love that, because then at least you have like one room in the house that's clean. and like,
Right.
so like you feel like, okay, the living room's done, or the kitchen, the family room's done, or the bedroom's done, whatever room it
Yeah.
is, I love that. I love that. And I love one that you're including your kids, because it teaches them a little bit about obviously responsibilities and stuff, but
Yeah.
also that it doesn't have to be I'm just laughing because I'm like thinking like I do like the whole, like it's going to take me the whole day to clean. You know what I mean? So like I
It
love
does.
that
Or
7 minutes.
longer.
Right.
Hmm.
7 minutes, and you get in and you get out. Even if you want to say
Yeah.
10, in and out. That's a lot. Like you're giving yourself extra time and stuff to,
Yeah.
maybe even to tidy in that, right? To like pick up some.
Right. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. I actually love that tip for our viewers, because I think you're right. If I were to look back, I didn't get to where you were. And I look back and I'm like, oh God, I wish I knew you when I was, in the stages, in that stage. But knowing that, like, I remember feeling completely overwhelmed and not having the time, because I required a half day or a full day, and being like, asking my husband, like, can you take the kids out of the house so I can clean? Like doing that
Yeah.
kind of thing. Or right. Like, or saying, and now I'm looking back and I'm thinking like, well, what did that teach them? I mean, thank God they do like to clean, but it's nice to have, and then you have bonding time with them as well, right? So,
Jenny says we do 3 song cleanups. That's so
oh,
great.
I
It
didn't
takes
see
about
that.
10 minutes.
10 minute, 3 song cleanups. What a great
That's great.
idea. I love that. I love that idea. That's another good tip. I like that too. Thank you, Jenny, for
Yeah.
sharing.
So the kids they'll know when it's over.
And when
They
it's
have they
over.
have a good idea of when it's ended, and it's also not a long time.
Yeah.
That's such a great tip.
Yeah. I love that. I love that tip. Thank you for sharing that. And
Yeah.
And then any other, like what are some of the other things that you've kind of incorporated into your days to,
Yeah. So, meal prepping was a big issue for me, and the reason why is because of my husband. But in a good way, but I couldn't get a handle on the grocery shopping and the planning and the
yeah.
executing, and then the eating. The eating part was what was getting lost,
Yeah.
right?
Well, but it's like
So,
so many things to get to eating. That was right? There's like so many steps to get to eating.
oh
Yes.
yeah, oh
Yeah.
yeah. The what I like to do is this. I like to just prep the ingredients
Oh,
for meals. So I'll prep the ingredients for 3 or 4 meals for the week. And what that means is I'll do the chopping, I'll do the sauce, if there's a sauce or whatever that I could just put in a little bowl and cover it and keep it
okay.
in the fridge, the marinating. and the cutting of the meat, whatever is, in whatever way it's supposed to be
Yeah.
cut for that particular meal. And I also, and so what that does is that cuts the actual cooking time like down to just however long it takes to cook the actual food. Like you're not sitting there chopping the onions and you're not sitting there, mixing things and trying to find ingredients
Yeah.
and all of that. It takes time. You don't realize that, something that takes 10 minutes to cook, you're spending 20 minutes taking things out and putting them back and wiping the counters and, all of these
Yeah.
things that end up taking a lot more time. If we can move that to a different time, then that is really helpful for me because the ingredients, they're prepped, they're ready in the fridge or in the cabinet or whatever. And then when I know I will have people eating in my house, then I can just grab it, throw it in, whatever.
Yeah.
And another thing that, not whatever, grab it, throw it in, it's cooked
Yeah.
and it's done. Another thing that really, really helped me is paring down the meals and making that really easy. So what I do is when I'm grocery shopping, what I do is I have a list of, I wish I could find, maybe I have it here. I have a list of ingredients that, it's right here, that I gave
See
to
how
my,
organized you are? You have it right there.
yeah. So what I do is I don't know if you can see it. It might be flipped, but I have a list of proteins, that's meats or tofu, whatever, plant-based stuff, vegetable, and a carb. And that's it. It's every meal is a protein, a vegetable, and a carb. Like for example, tonight I made them chicken, grilled chicken with mashed potatoes and string beans.
Yeah.
Right? That's it.
Simple.
And
Yeah.
I don't make it difficult on days that I know that I need extra
Yeah.
time for something, or on days that I'm tired, or which is going to be every weekday, definitely. So that's why like 4 or 5 of those meals make it really easy for me to just fly through dinner time
Yeah.
and make it fun. And also something that I love doing is trying to get my kids to help me cook. And when the things are being prepared, like helping them learn how to use a knife properly, and helping them learn how to mix ingredients and taste them or smell them, and that life skill I feel is very important. Cooking, learning how to make something for yourself, make a meal for yourself. And so I try to include them when I am either prepping the ingredients or when I'm putting them in the pot or whatever.
Yeah.
And soon they're going to be old enough. They're 11 and 10 now. And I'm not totally comfortable with them making an entire meal for all of us, but very soon I would love to start making each day one of us makes dinner.
Yeah.
So me, my husband, my son, and my daughter, and me, my husband, my son, my daughter, and that means that I get to cook dinner like twice a week.
And you know what? And I would tell you, like I said, my children are all older, so it's a bit different. But like during COVID, when we were all home and stuff, I ended up doing that. I said, okay, because I was like, I just said to like, okay, you pick a meal, what meal, and then we'll get what the ingredients and you cook it. Like, so everybody, because I was like kind of like, okay, what am I going to cook next? What am I going to cook? Like, I was like losing track.
Right.
Like, I was like, felt like I was always cooking. So I was like really lost. Like at some point I was like, okay, I'm tired of making this. So it was a different need, but it's the same thing. And it's just such a great life skill. And on the flip side, like I said, my kids are often like 2 in college, and now they, it's so funny. They'll say to me, Mom, kids don't know how to cook. Like they don't know what they're doing. Like, even to make eggs, like they don't know how to even make eggs, Mom. Like, that kind of thing. So it's such a beautiful skill. So it's how you're breaking everything down and how you're simplifying your life, but you're also incorporating your children in there is such a gorgeous life lesson for many things. One is like you're sharing time with them and bonding with them, and and having special moments with them. But the other piece is you're actually giving them gorgeous life skills that they'll need literally for the rest of their lives, even if they're not the cooks in their houses, they still will be able to do basics, you know? So
Yeah, yeah. That's what being a parent is all about,
yeah,
is having them enjoy the time that they're with us, and know that their home is a safe place to be, a safe place
yeah,
to come to, and to live in,
yeah,
and to,
yeah,
share their journey in. And also, you want them to be able to, when they leave, you don't want them to,
yeah,
splat on the ground. You want them to fly.
yeah,
You want them to just be,
yeah,
be the best that they can be, and not be held back by those things that they have to start
yeah,
um, learning
yeah,
when they get out there. It's very stressful. It's stressful being a
yeah,
grown up. It's
yes.
stressful adulting,
Yeah, adulting,
whatever they
adulting,
call
stress.
it.
Well, and I love your list. I love the way you break that down so that really while you're grocery shopping, very simply, you're going to get those three key ingredients and then,
Yeah.
whatever. So like you said, for 3 or 4 meals, you're going to walk out with at least 3 or 4 proteins, 3 or 4 kinds of vegetables, and then 3 or 4 starches or variations
Yep.
of the starches so that you know what those meals are going to be. And I think that's another way, because you know how many times you go to the store and you think, oh, and then you're like, oh, I forgot to get this. It's
Yeah.
always like one main ingredient,
The
that you
thing you
need.
went for,
Oh, yeah.
basically.
So I love that list, and the way you broke it up. That's really kind of cool. That's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's real helpful. It
Yeah.
really is. And dinner was always such a big pain in the butt, and it just it feels like easy. It feels easy, and it feels like you were saying, like something that I can share with the kids, where I'm not going to be like over their shoulder because I'm stressed out. It's taking so long, and oh, dinner's late, and I have to blah blah blah, and I
Right.
left the laundry in the wash the whole day, and it's starting to smell, and all that stuff is like in the back of your
Yeah.
head, and being able to not projecting that onto your kid is very hard,
Yeah.
or onto anyone.
Yes.
When it's like, you have a bad day, and, misery loves company, however you want to call it. If I'm having a bad day, I could snap at my husband
Yeah.
easily,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And then he's having a bad day, and then, something else happens, and then, or I snap at the kids, and that's not what I want.
Yeah.
It's okay if it happens once in a while. Of course, everybody's going to have like that kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
a
Yeah.
day, or that kind of a hard time. But if it's happening regularly, then we have to reassess. We have to back up,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
have to, because they only like the days go by so fast. What's that saying that people say, the days are long but the years are short?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And and you don't want to look back and be like, I can't believe
Yeah.
I was
No, you
such
want to
a,
enjoy
like,
them. Yeah.
rude with a capital B.
Yeah.
That's what that's what I like to say. God, I was so rude with a capital B today.
Oh, I love that
Oh
saying.
my
Oh, I might have
God.
to adopt that myself. I'm going to adopt that myself.
I try really hard not to curse,
Yeah.
because I like to teach the kids, like, cursing is unnecessary. It's just extra words, where you could just use whatever adjective is the right adjective at the time. You don't have to put in a complete nonsense word.
Yeah.
Just throw it in there. It's not
I know, but
necessary.
sometimes it feels good, I have to say.
Yeah, it does.
Sometimes it does warrant.
Yeah,
But
so true.
so we have that. Now, how about a little bit on so a lot of these have to do with time management, but do you have maybe one more time management thing that you can share with our audience, and we'll talk a little bit about your programs and if people want to connect with you and all of that stuff.
Yeah, I'm working on a free workshop right now, about auditing your time.
That was it.
About
Yes. I wanted to hear about your auditing because I remember talking to you a little bit about that. Go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, something that and I'll give something right now, that I learned how to audit my phone. And
Ooh.
what that means is I learned how to figure out what apps I'm using the most, or more regularly, or whatever. And there's different ways for different phones, but if you wanted to Google it now, if I'm going to do it in my workshop, but for all the different phones, but if you want to do it now, or whoever's watching wants to do it now, you can Google, how do I find out what you know, what apps I'm using on my phone. And there's like a little way, like settings, oh gosh, I wish I could remember what it is. Settings, apps, duration, something like that. And each app will show up in like size order, meaning like the ones that you use the most are on
Wow.
top.
I love
And
that. Yeah.
I'm going to give you mine is YouTube. It's YouTube because I'm constantly looking at the shorts. I'm like, that's funny. That's funny. That's
Yeah.
funny. That's funny. And I love the doctors. My son got much into Dr. Mike, is a YouTuber who's very like laid back and also like uses language that everybody can understand about, you know, their body or about being sick or about staying healthy and different things. So he likes to watch that. And then and then it got in my feed somehow. And now I'm
No.
like looking at all these doctors doing all these shorts about different things, like watching videos about like somebody cutting something off their foot or whatever. But I don't know. It's a vice of mine.
All right.
That's the
Well,
thing that,
but I think that's kind of cool that you can then audit like your phone, and then this way you can kind of see what you're really using, what you're not using, and kind of pare
yeah.
it down. And that's what I'm thinking you're saying, right? Then you're like,
Yeah.
don't have your phone full of all this stuff that you don't even use.
Yeah, you know what? It's the thing is that it's just about being aware
Yeah.
at first. You could want to disable the app or whatever and just say to yourself, I don't want to scroll anymore. I don't want to watch this anymore. It's taking up too much of my time. That's kind of negative. That's kind of like a negative way to jump in to something cold turkey like that. I don't recommend it. I don't like doing that. Just the very first step in the time auditing is to just be aware of what it is that you're doing a lot of. That's all. Just so that you can take like 1, 2 steps back and just know just being aware, just knowing so that when you start doing it, there's going to be a voice in your head that's like, oh, I'm doing this again.
Yeah.
Once you become aware that it's something that you're doing. And then you can decide, is this something that I'm doing because it relaxes me, or is it something that I'm doing as a numbing mechanism to stop the stress for a few minutes?
Yeah.
And doing that, that's something that's a little, you know, it's leaning toward self-destructive a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes, it's fine. Like I said, even like, you know, yelling or like you're saying, cursing once in a while, it's honestly, it's okay. You know, it's okay to feel like you just need a few minutes to yourself and you just want to scroll a little bit. Right. That's totally fine. I do it all the time, apparently with YouTube. So, and lots of people do it with Instagram.
Right.
And or their games on the games on their apps.
Yeah.
When it becomes a regular thing, when you find what it is that you're doing a lot of and you're aware and then you do it, then you can decide, am I doing this because it's helpful to me in my like self-care, free time, like free, you know, me time, which is extremely important to have, or is it something that I'm using as an avoidance tactic and as a numbing mechanism, like I was saying, because then that's no good. And then once you realize, is it something that I'm doing that's numbing, then you can start to be like, you know what, I need to lower this.
Yeah.
But jumping right in and disabling all your apps and deleting all your games, and that's like throwing everything in your closet out.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not helpful. It doesn't help you to have one pair of pants and 3 shirts. It just doesn't.
Right.
You know?
Well, because I also I love that. I love that concept, and I like how you're saying, you know, it's not about necessarily getting rid of it. It's not about like, you know, having that energy like, oh, I'm done with this. I can't be doing this. I can't be wasting my time. It's more about saying like, okay, I'm aware. And like, you know what? Yeah, there are times I want to numb out for a few minutes, or I'm waiting for my child to come out from practice and I want to, and I'm sitting here doing nothing and I'm going to sit and scroll and laugh, you know, for a little while because it's going to put me in a good mood, you know, and that kind of thing. Right. That, I think that's the difference behind it versus, you know, your whole family sitting and you're all together and you're scrolling and you're not checking in in with them. That's a whole different, like different energy stuff. So
Right.
that's,
That's such a great way of putting it. That's a
yeah.
perfect way of putting it. A different
Yeah,
energy.
it's a different energy. I love that you were pointing that out to us. And I wanted to say I just love, and I know that when I spoke to you for the first time, I know we talked and you used this word, and I'm going to use it because I loved it. And I forgot that we used it until you started saying this about the um, was automating. You were talking about automating your life, right? And that's really what
Yeah.
this goal is. And it's not automating in that everything becomes like self-sufficient, like it just goes on its own. It's about automating it so it's runs more efficiently. And
Yeah.
without you being so stressed or overwhelmed or running around and being a little bit more, like you said, having more time efficiency, using meal prepping more efficiently, cleaning more
Right.
efficiently, and also going through I think when you automate, you also look at, and maybe I'm wrong, but it sounds like to me, you're also looking at priorities a little bit. Like like
Right.
you said about cleaning your house, like, is it about having a clean house or about having like, everything having its place? What's the priority for me, for you, right? What you
Right.
prefer, what do I prefer? And, at this phase in my life. And I think that's what's beautiful about it, because I think it can shift as your children grow and
Mm-hmm.
move, right? You may have different priorities for them and for
Yeah.
yourself, right? And what,
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah. I always like to say I'm not a parenting expert. I
right.
don't have a parenting blog. I have a time management blog.
Yeah.
I have a routines blog, to-do list blog. And but the the whole reason why we are wanting so badly to, like you were saying, automate, the whole reason why I want so badly to share these things that I've learned is because it made me a better like person. It made me a better parent. It made me
Yeah.
more present with my kids. It made me more present with my spouse and more communicative. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Yes, communicative
We
with
make up
my,
words. We don't care.
yeah. It helped me see what I want my day to look like, what I want my life to look like, what I want my home to look like, what I want my kids to see me as, their rock, their place, their home,
Hmm.
and it gave me the freedom to allow myself to be happy and be helpful and be a guide for them when they're learning things in my safe place in our home.
Yeah.
And so like you were saying before, learning life skills,
Yeah.
that's so, for me personally as a parent, that is like the most important thing that I could give them, to take away from the stress of being a grown up, of being out there on your own, and not knowing a lot of things,
Yeah.
but knowing like basic foundational things is so important to me.
Yeah.
And so I created this space for myself to let that happen, where instead of, to let them, to be with them and in the kitchen, for example, and let them take a glass from the dishwasher and put it up on the top shelf of a cabinet, and not run over and grab it and worry that they're going to drop it,
Yeah.
but to be able to learn that like balance, the
Yeah.
inner balance, and learning that some things are fragile,
Yeah.
and we need to care for certain things in certain ways, um and learning how to cook is something so uh also important. I'm looking for a really great word that means important, but like in a really positive way.
Essential.
I can't think of
Maybe
what.
essential. Like, is it?
Not essential, but like in like special and essential at the same time. I can't think of it.
Okay.
But that's so important, so important to me.
Yeah.
And so for me to be able to stand with them over the stove and not stress that they're gonna, be like, oh my God, your hand, oh, your sleeve, oh my God, your hair, you're gonna set it on fire. Oh, you're
And then they're
spilling it, you're
stressed, right?
spilling it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you could do that. You could easily be
Oh,
that
yes,
parent,
yes.
and it could easily create this stress
Yeah.
around cooking.
Yeah.
Like I can't do it. Like
Yeah.
it could turn into like either inward for them, I can't do it, or outward for them, don't ask mom for help anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Those two
Yeah.
things, I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
I don't want that to happen, right? Nobody does. Nobody does. So, like those types of life, those types of things that when you go through your day, there are so many opportunities
Yes.
as a parent for learning experiences, right? Teachable moments,
Yeah.
and it can turn into something bad if we're not prepared for our day, right?
Yeah.
If we have more decisions to make and we have
Yeah.
more stress and all of this, it turns into it can turn into something bad. But if we have that space for ourselves, if we know that this is a priority, I know that teaching life skills is a priority for me as a parent, and I make the space to make that happen in a nice way. Not, oh my God, you're 11 years old and you don't know how to scramble eggs yet. I have to teach you. I have to teach you right now. And that's not where I am.
Yeah.
It's where I was
Yeah. Yeah.
big time. Especially when they're younger and they have all these milestones that they need to reach, and all these words that they need to be saying or reading or this or that, and it turns into like stress, stress, stress,
Yep.
stress. And it's hard, it's hard to deal with. But when you are actively making less decisions in your day, when you're actively doing less and making less decisions and paring down and automating, like you were saying, like
Yeah.
making things easier, making things more efficient, then you have that space.
Yeah.
You have it for that, those two or three really big priorities that you have in your
Yeah.
life and in your day. And uh, another thing that we want to make sure that we have space for is self-care. And I know that like that word self-care is
Yeah.
so like overdone, but having space for yourself to just think,
Yeah.
just think for a few minutes, because there are times that you make mistakes in
Yeah.
your life, and if you don't have a reflective period, if you
Yeah.
don't have a way of thinking like, oh man, that went not good, I don't want it to happen like that again, what can I do next time instead? What can I say next time?
Yeah.
Should I just take a breath? Should I start counting to 5 in my head? Should I turn around, like spin 3 times or whatever, distract? Is there somebody I could follow on Instagram that teaches like how to distract your kids to get them to put their jacket on or get them to blow, whatever
Yeah.
it is. Dr. Becky at Good Inside is great for that, by the way. If you have young kids, if you have smaller kids, it's a very crazy time. But she does the
Yeah.
really helpful, practical tips for things like that, just to get bath time to be not a screaming match, or get food to not be, get eating to not be throwing it on the
Power.
floor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
like they
love,
guys do.
I, as I'm listening to you, I just love to how you're, taking, I think that, as women and then as parents, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, right?
Mhm.
To, be perfect and do more, and, make sure our kids are fed well and slept, dressed well and clean, and, all of the different things that you know, we really put on ourselves. Let's put it this way, like society,
Yeah,
we put on ourselves, and we have expectations of what we're supposed to be, when we're supposed to be doing it, and how we're supposed to be doing it, and how our children are supposed to be
yeah,
acting, and all of this other stuff that we've kind of all bought into. And the reality is, I feel like when you're talking about automating and you're talking about paring down and you're talking about making things really efficient, is really boiling everything down to the essentials that are important for each individual family and each individual person at that point,
Yeah.
which is such beautiful permission for parents to have, that they don't have to do all the things and everything, right? They can
Mm-hmm.
pick. We are not, we unfortunately sometimes buy into the, like, we become victims of what we're, all the things we're supposed to do. And even, you know, social media is great and all of this stuff is great, but sometimes even that can be like, I get on Pinterest sometimes and I'm like, oh, I feel like mine will never look like that, or this, you know,
Yeah.
you can really like,
My living room
right?
doesn't look like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So you can kind of measure yourself against these like weird, you know, measuring sticks actually. But the bottom
Yeah.
line is to really pare down and look at yourself. And I love that you asked yourself the why, the why, the why, and like why and what's important to me, and why and what's important to me is, and get to the root of what is the core for your family and your foundation and what's important for you. And I think that you so well shared that, like in the clean, like in those little pieces that you gave us tonight, you know, how to do that in a very functional, easy, less stress. Don't add any, I love how you say, like, don't add anything more to your plate. In fact, take
Yeah.
away, right? Take away from your plate, because that's how you feel like you're being more effective and you're more present with your family, because you're
Yeah.
have less on your plate than more on your plate. So I think
Yeah.
that's like such great words of wisdom for younger moms, you know, as well. Like, and even for, like, I look at myself and I think, well, you can always pare down, you know, I mean, my kids are older, but there's things I could pare down in and not, you know, take
Mm-hmm.
on and that kind of stuff. So it's kind of a cool concept. I really love it. I would love for you to share how people can kind of connect with you and what you've got going on. I know you,
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm on Instagram, and you can follow me at Waylos Way More Done. And I also have a blog, and I have this great fun quiz that I love to share to learn what your time management style, you know, like what kind of time management style you have, so that you can get some clues into what can make it easier for you to, you know, have that style, if it's a style that, you know,
yeah,
that you love. So I think I can share, I might be able to share it in the,
yeah, I
let's see,
think
I
you
might be
might
able to
be
share
able
it in here.
to. Yep. And
There
I
we
was going
go.
to share it here, and I was going to say, and oh, there it is. You got it. I see it.
Hmm.
Will you also be able to follow
Thank
me?
you, Jenny.
Yeah. Yeah, she started following you. Awesome.
Awesome. That's fantastic.
Um, would you be able to get it also in your bio on Instagram? Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
So just in case
In my bio,
people
there's
don't
some
get
stuff in
see
there too. Yeah.
the link. I don't know if the link will show up on the replay. I'm not sure. I don't think the comments show up. So just in case, I want to make sure that people can get to it.
Okay. Yeah.
Just
It's there.
it's
And there'll be a page for signing up for my free webinar on auditing your time, something that we were talking about today.
yeah,
And that's really the first step in, you know, getting rid of the gunk, getting rid
yeah,
of the, you know, the stuff that's in the pipes that slows everything down,
yeah,
really.
yeah. All the gunk, like you said, the stuff that's not really important that just kind of clogs up the whole system.
Yeah.
As you would say.
Yep. It
Now we're
really
on
does.
plumbing.
Mhm. And I just love something that you said before, and I just want to repeat it. We get to pick. You said it so well. We get to pick.
Yeah,
There's no right way. And what you want as a parent and what you feel is important is going to be different. And as long as you know what that is, when you can get to that place where you know what it is that's super important for you as a parent, all the decisions that you make that come from that are the right decision, because that is what you want. That is who you are. And there's no wrong that can come from that,
yeah,
because it's you, and it's you, and your it's your aura and your life and your way. And that is so getting to there, if you can just keep asking yourself, what is it that I really hate about this or this or that, and what is it that would really really help me, and what do I really really want. And when you can do that, and you know, I'm able to coach people through that.
Yeah.
Um, in a like a more linear way. But if you really want to get started now, that's what you got to keep asking yourself until you can get to that place where you know that those one, two, three things that you can't live without in
Yeah.
your day, then that's it. Everything just flourishes from there. There
Yeah.
is no wrong that could come from that. You didn't do it wrong yesterday, as much as it may feel
Yeah.
like it, and you're not going to do it wrong tomorrow. As long as you have that North Star, as long as you
Yeah.
have that focus.
I love that. I love that. And I love the fact that there's a lot of flexibility in that because I think, like you said, we do get to choose what's important to each one of us, right, in our families. And in addition to that, you get to make changes as your children grow and as your family changes, right? I mean, it's, if you add a dog to the picture, right? If you add a pet,
Oh
that
God.
changes the dynamics, and all of a sudden maybe
Yeah.
priorities are a little different, right? And so you need
Hmm.
to shift, and then something maybe, then your kids start playing sports and you're not home at dinner
Yeah.
time anymore, right? So what's you need to, and you learn how to shift and move things. But if you just added the dog to what was already going on and didn't make the shift, then that would make it overwhelming. But if all of
Oh
a
my
sudden you
God.
changed your priorities, even if it was just
Yeah, that
temporarily,
hurts.
right?
Oh
Yeah.
God, when you say that, it hurts my head to hear that putting the dog on top of all the rest of the stuff.
Right.
Ouch.
But
Yeah.
but I'm just right, because that's kind of what happens, right? Like different
Yep.
things, whether it's a pet or whatever, somebody moves in, a grandparent moves in, whatever it is, as your family, the dynamics changes and shifts as your kids grow and people come and go.
Yeah.
That this is, by automating, you're constantly tuning in to what's really the priority for your family at that moment and that season of that family's life, right? And then you can
Hmm.
shift it as necessary. So none of these things are in stone necessarily, but
Right.
they are definitely very fluid and efficient for that moment, for those
Right.
few years or few months or whatever it is. Yeah, I know, right? Adding the dog is always that overwhelming, like, oh my gosh, why would you get a
Oh,
dog?
yep. I'm dog sitting my sister's dog
Oh,
this
that's
week.
why.
So when you when you said that, I was like, oh my God, if I hadn't taken the time to prepare for this, I would be pulling my hair out for sure. For sure. Yeah.
See? Well, I want to thank you so much. This was great. I'm going to be taking your quiz, and I suggest that everybody take the quiz because I think it's just a great idea to really look at your time management style, like at
Hmm.
any point in your life, because we're always trying to juggle a few things and figure out what are
Hmm.
the real priorities in our lives and where do we want to put our energy, where do we want to spend our energy and really enjoy it. So
Yeah.
I want to thank you so much for being a guest tonight, and kind of like really giving our audience some really awesome ideas on how to automate and really get their family life in kind of a nice, more of I don't want to say relaxed, but a more of a flow. How's that? Like more of a nice,
Yeah.
easier flow.
That was well put.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for having me. I had a great time.
Oh
I
yeah,
had a
this
great
was
time, and I
awesome.
hope that that I was helpful and that people can grab some of these tips and just start running with them.
Yeah. And
And
anybody who like comes on late here can follow Mina on Waylos. Is it Waylos? What is the actual
way less, way more done.
that's it. Waylos Way More Done.
Hmm.
I was like saying, I know it was like with the W, but I was like, I don't know. I want to make sure I got it right. Waylos Way Got More Done. And we will connect again. And this will be on my feed. So if anybody wants to come back and listen to it, or if you want to refer a friend, that's great. And I also will share it with Mina, so she'll have it for her records, and she can maybe post or whatever she wants to do with it at that point. But if
That
anybody would
sounds
like
great.
to come back and listen to it or have a friend, it'll definitely be on my feed. So, all right. It was great
Great. Thank you
having.
so much for having me. I really had a great time. Thank
Yeah,
you.
me too. Thank you. And I will talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.
Okay.
Thanks for jumping on, everybody, and sharing. Thanks.
Yeah, for sure. Bye bye.
Bye.